And now the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, says the proposed Fly Nigeria Act and enabling legislations will promote the patronage of Nigerian local airlines by government officials for international trips. Keyamo and other stakeholders were speaking in Abuja at a conference for stakeholders on the Fly Nigeria Act says the legislative proposal is aimed at revitalizing the local aviation sector to foster a sense of national pride and ownership, promote competitiveness, and encourage more Nigerians to choose indigenous carriers.
For us to be wise enough to see this and to come up with policies that will then empower our own local operators to match them on the negotiation table. And this is one of the latest in this series of actions we lined up. More are coming to empower them and to make sure they survive.
The Fly Nigerian Act is actually Flygerian, we used to call it. Other countries, even America, with their economic might, with their might in aviation, and economic power also, it is compulsory for public officials to use only American airlines, except where they do not fly to. I don't know how else we can develop this country if we cannot develop our own.
And in case you do not know, this is not just for this minister who is seated there, because he has no aircraft. He has no investment in aircraft. It is for the operators.
All right, let's get to the conversation. And of course, we have the man on the seat of the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Mr. Michael Achimugu. Thank you for joining us. Now, of course, we want you to, the reason why here is just to give us an update and development in the aviation sector as regards what the agency is doing to address delays in flight, and sometimes there are cancellations of flight, but then the passengers don't get the refund on time. And so what are you doing? What is the agency doing to address some of the complaints or concerns raised as regards this? Let's start from there.
Yeah, it's frustrating for a passenger where these delays and cancellations happen and they cannot access their refund. Not every passenger has the resources to book another ticket when these things happen. Now, we operate within the ambit of the regulations, Part 19 of the NCAA Regulations 2023, and it stipulates time frames for refunds of passengers' tickets. For where tickets have been purchased by cash, the regulations say that a passenger must be refunded by cash right there at the terminal before they leave. And where it was purchased online or via bank transfer, the airline has 14 days to make such a refund. Now, we've had cases, there's a history where airlines have not complied with that particular rule. When we came on board, we decided to give the airlines some time, listen to them, know what their challenges were. Now we've gotten to a point where we can say, hey, we've listened to you enough now. It's time to begin to comply, or we will sanction you. So any airline going forward that does not make that refund within the stipulated time frame will automatically be sanctioned.
But are they aware of these? Are they aware that these laws or these measures are in place? Because even as last week, we're still getting reports from passengers who said, look, these, there were cancellations, flight cancellations, obviously, but they couldn't get the refunds for their money.
Before you begin to run an airline in Nigeria, you must be aware of the regulations. Every airline in Nigeria is aware of the NCAA regulations in this regard. For the passengers, they need to also understand the reporting line. When something has happened, you report first to the airline. It is where you are not satisfied with their resolution before you come to the NCAA. And because a lot of them already, the situation with the airline lasts way too long before they come to the NCAA, is why it seems like, it's the NCAA's fault. It's not. Also, when you report a case to the NCAA, you don't expect resolution all the time within 24 hours, 48 hours, because according to the regulations, there's a time frame within which the airline must also investigate and get back to the NCA, most times 7 days. However, if the NCA has made a determination that this passenger is due a refund, it is on the airline to ensure that they pay within 14 days after we have made that determination. Otherwise, they will be sanctioned. They are aware.
So
it's already yielding fruit, by the way. Because, yes, most of the airlines...
when you say yielding fruit, I mean, so you are saying that you're already perhaps applying this, administering or applying these sanctions, or...
the airlines are complying now, quickly. Yes.
Is it they are complying because you're perhaps coming or climbing down on them?
Exactly.
What are those? I mean, give us example of, okay, maybe 1 or 2 airlines perhaps that you have sanctions over this violation.
It's not the sanction. It's the fact that since that announcement has been made, every email we have sent out to all of the airlines have been complied with. So where there's compliance, there's no need for a sanction. You are owing someone money, and we say, if you do not pay within 48 hours, we will sanction you. Most of them have paid within 24 hours. The testimonies are out there on social media. So
okay, let's talk about the flight data that was recently launched by the minister. And so, how significant is this, and how is this going to, perhaps, what change is this likely to bring into operation in the agency or within the aviation sector?
That's mostly about safety and security. Where an incident has occurred at the airport, mostly, we are lucky so far in Nigeria, it's been mostly runway excursions, and the likes. That center can simulate what has happened and then help to prevent future occurrences.
Right.
It's very, very important and strategic.
So how does it operate? And what are the mechanisms? And what structure have you built around it? Help us understand, unpack how you operate. When you say it's about safety, I mean, what are the safety measures in place? How do you intend to check? Is it about just give us unpack the way it operates?
I'm not a technical person, but it's basically a high-tech equipment that can simulate. I'm sure you know what simulation is. It simulates the occurrence. It can reenact what has happened at the terminal or where the incident has occurred. Help engineers, and inspectors walk through. It carries data from the black box, which simulates the incident that has occurred, and is able to tell us, look, this is what went wrong. Next time, this is how to prevent it. And so we are able to avert disaster next time.
Interesting. Now, the Yuletide is here, and there's going to be a lot of, people traveling, movement, a lot of movement in and out of the country. And again, the concern is about flight delays, as it were, and all of that. And the crowd is going to be, perhaps if we're not careful, I mean, because we all know the Yuletide season is a very busy season. So what are the things on ground at the moment to also ensure that there's a free flow of traffic, within the airports across the country?
Yeah, thanks to the Honorable Minister and the DG NCAA, there are more aircraft in Nigeria now. Recently, about 10 new aircraft came into the country, distributed among some of the airlines. So it means we have more capacity. If there's a delay, if there's an issue with a particular aircraft that's supposed to take you to, say, Lagos from Abuja, that airline is capable of ferrying in another aircraft to replace that one and make that trip in good time as well. However, passengers must know that because of the high season, they also have responsibilities. The regulation says that for local flights, you must be at the terminal at least 2 hours before departure. Most times, people come very late and expect that as a matter of right, they must fly. It should not be so this season, because it's the same thing even with road travel. It's expected that in the Yuletide, the traffic is high. So you do everything possible to ensure that you are there in good time. And then, it's going to be much better this year as well. Because as at this time last year, the stories were already coming in, the complaints were already pouring in. But this year, traffic has been okay. And there's less disruptions now too.
Okay, let's talk about, the pricing, for instance. The fares are expensive. And we want to know what the agency is also doing about, price control. Because the perception there is that, or the narrative is that once it's U-tide, airlines take advantage of because of the free flow, or would I say the amount of movement in and out. They want to increase the the fares and all of that. Are you concerned about that?
It's pure economics. It's the law of demand and supply. Let's not also forget that the dollar rate is also an issue, because these planes mostly are not maintained in Nigeria.
Right.
Airlines pay top dollar for C checks abroad. So airline owners apply the same principles of economics as every other regular person applies to their business. However, when it gets too high, the authority can step in.
The reason why I asked that question is about,
Yes.
Consumer protection, of course, which happens to be, your director where you supervise. And so you're not concerned that, Nigerians, concerned that they get rip-off at this period of time. And that's why some people are saying, look, what is the agency doing, to regulate pricing?
Pricing cannot be regulated by the NCAA.
Right.
It's a business. It's a business. It works with the forces of demand and supply. When demand becomes higher, naturally prices will go up. But like I said, if it goes beyond what it should be, the authority has a right to step in at some point.
Michael Achimugu is the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA. Thank you for coming on Newsnight.